Okay, so this is reading 848 for you, IO. Thank you for asking me to read for you again. We'll do the usual focusing a lot here for you, but as usual also I'll start here and I'll work our way around just to give you a bit of contextualization as well. So we start your reading off with excuse me, with oak or dewar. And oak is probably, I guess, my favourite, excuse me, probably my favourite stave, but it's one that sits in here and represents, I guess, the underpinning of all of this reading. It really kind of looks at who you are and what holds you up. And oak is very much about dedication to life, to people, to others, to work. And sorry, I'm just about to sneeze. And it's about longevity. It's about hard work. Oak is very much also about giving to others, but without necessarily thinking about yourself or supporting yourself. So you have a tendency to give and give and give and give and give and give to other people, to work. It so much so that you might snap and eventually break. So oak is very much about a lesson in balance of life. It's about looking at where you are right now and what it is that you're doing right now, and trying to find ways to balance your life so that you can really make sure that you take care of you as well as taking care of other people. So you give of yourself to so many other people, but you don't always give of yourself to yourself. So it's really important in this coming year that you think about ways to look after your own health. And we're not just talking physical health, but also emotional health. So if that means making sure that you take some good time out for you, then so be it. Do that, and that might just be a nice hot bath with lovely essential oils and some candles going, that kind of stuff. But it might be something more substantial, like a weekend away in the forest or at the beach or somewhere where you feel that you are honouring who you are. So this year is very much a year for you that you need to think about balance. Over here we have these three staves here talk about the last 12 months for you, and it's kind of I guess themed with this one here, which is about taking advice and giving it as well. You've done a fair bit, I suspect, also in terms of your teenage brother that you have the custody of. You've done an awful lot of supporting of him, but also supporting of other people around him through that custodial issue. And also as he develops, it's an awful lot, not just of giving advice, that's too tight a term, but very much about support. Here I talked about how you give of yourself to other people, and you've been doing that with him. You do that with so many people though. You give of yourself so much. And you think yourself unworthy of receiving that same support in return. And some of that has an impact on and is impacted by your limited self-confidence and your feelings of less than worthiness. And so that's that coming through there. Sitting over the top here is Gort or Ivy, and he's got quite a lot of similarities with Dewar or Oak here. Gort or Ivy is very much about survival, but he's about hard work, determination, dedication, whereas Oak is also about hard work, determination, dedication, but because of your ethical stand, your moral stand, it's the right thing to do. Gort or Ivy is about dedication and hard work and all that kind of stuff, but because you blinking have to, because there's no one else who's going to do it. You know, so they're similar, but they come from a different place. The actions are the same, but the reasons why those actions take place is slightly different. So you underpinning everything is that great moral base that you have that says you need to do what is right. And Gort or Ivy says, well, the last year, because you think that you need to do things because they are right, it's actually meant flipping lot of hard work for you. And that's okay. You don't begrudge that at all. You know, Oaks and Gorts never begrudge that. But what it does say to me is, you said in your email to me, I'm happy, but... and Gort or Ivy says that you put on a brave smile to the rest of the world, but underneath that brave smile is some real sadness. And perhaps you're not acknowledging that sadness. And it's not depression, you know, that's not where this goes for you. But it's very much about life is going pretty, for the important things, life is going well, you know, in terms of partnership and all that kind of stuff. But underneath that is about that identity. Who am I? What is my value to the world? What is my contribution to the world? Why do I not love myself as much as I love other people? So that's what that's all about there. And sitting underneath that is Beth or Birch, and it talks about all of the new changes that have happened for you over the last couple of years. And there's been a long list of changes, good and bad. But a great deal of what comes through with this is your determination to do the right thing for yourself as much as you possibly can. To, once you've got over the grief, to really start looking at, well, hang on a minute here, what do I actually need to do for me? I need to think about what's important to do and to create for me. This lovely stave here is Muin or Vine, and this is in the position that talks about what's happening in your life right now. And this is about harvest. It's about reaping what you've sown. It's about, that's at the harvest end, but at the other end, the sowing end, it's about making sure you sow good seeds. Now, you've got a bit of a sting in the tail, this one here, because you can only reap as good as you sow. You can only harvest quality from sowing quality. You can only get good outcomes if you begin from a good place, is what Muin is saying. And Muin says that for you, your identity, your belief in yourself, your self-confidence, your self-worth is currently wrapped up in the things that you do for other people. So you consider your worthiness, you consider your value, you consider how your importance by how much you give to other people, by how much you love other people, by how much you devote yourself to other people. And that is fantastic, that's beautiful, but it's sacrifice. And so this, coupled with this here when we talked about balance, this year for you is very much about learning that your value in life is equally important regardless of whether you give to self or whether you give to others. So it's about sowing some really good seeds for you in this coming year about self-confidence, about how amazing you are, about celebrating the absolute incredible person that you are. I really encourage you to sit down with a piece of paper and write down all of the things that are actually brilliant about you. And there's a long list, but you tend to focus on what you think is the really long list of the things that aren't good about you. So some of those good things about you that you can celebrate: you survived the death of your partner. Flippin' heck, that is phenomenal. You came out the other side of that grief a more whole person. You survived and you made the very best of the situation. You've taken on the custody of your brother. You found another love. You are amazing. So this is all about celebrating that amazing. It's about celebrating who you are. It's about planting the seeds in your life that talk about my value as a human being is based on both what I give to others and what I give to myself. I want you to remember that. My value as a human being is based on I'll do that again. My value as a human being is based on both what I give to others and what I give to myself. Okay, so for you, you've been basing it on what you give and deliver to other people. This year, I want you to balance that up and give to yourself. So that means time for yourself. That means loving yourself. That means finding the things about yourself that are worthy of love. And the list is long. And I want you to write that list and I want you to add something more to it every single day. Okay, so I want to see a really nice long list that just grows every single day. That's what this is all about. So this is your year for the development of you. Now these 4 staves here are about the future, and I'm really pleased to see this one here. This is brilliant. I'm really happy with this. This is Heather, and Heather is about love. It's about companionship, it's about sharing, it's about caring. But it's not just about relationships with other people, it's about relationships with self. Can you start to see the whole theme that's coming through here with balance for self, with sowing seeds for yourself, with looking after you as well as other people? And Heather is all about that as well. Heather says you can have a fantastic relationship with someone else, but it will be even more fantastic if your relationship with yourself is also fantastic. So again, it goes back to writing that list out of all of the things that are amazing about you and finding things about you to celebrate. So you said in your email to me, I think you said something about, I don't think I'm pretty. Okay, so I want you to look at one part of yourself and notice one part of yourself that is beautiful. And that might be your hair colour. It might be the skin on your cheek. It might be the shape of your ear. It might be the cute way your toenails grow. Whatever it is, I want you to think about the one small thing about yourself that you really like the look of. And then tomorrow, I want you to write another thing about another part of who you are that you really like the look of. And the day after that, I want you to find another part of yourself that you absolutely think is really cute or beautiful and write that down. I want you to do that every day. So you've now got 2 lists. One that talks about how amazing you are, and that on every day you're going to write down one more thing on there about you that you think is pretty cool. And on the other list, you're going to write something on there every single day about a part of you which is pretty or attractive or cute. And that's about building a relationship with yourself, so you begin to appreciate who you are. And when you appreciate who you are, when you know the true value of who you are, then you're even more capable of giving that beauty, that wonder that you are to other people, namely to your partner. Over here we have the sail or willow, and this is about femininity, it's about magic, it's about intuition, it's about psychic gifts. And here it's talking about the need for you to listen to your soul and not to the destructive part of your brain. So the destructive part of your brain is that part of your brain that sends you messages that says, actually, you're pretty ugly. Your hair is crap. Did you know that? You'll never be able to do this because you're just stupid. You know, all of those negative things that our brain says to ourselves. And Willow is saying you need to be chucking that out, okay, not listening to it at all, and instead you need to be growing another set of responses, another set of sentences that you say to yourself which say, actually, I'm pretty damn cool. Actually, you know, I really like this about me. So it's about, again, it's about listening to your soul and not listening to that logical part of your brain. Sitting underneath that is Lewis or Rowan, and Rowan is very much about protection, and it's got an awful lot to do with this one here when we talked about balance. In that coming year ahead, again, it's about looking after your physical and your emotional health. So your physical health, I need for you to make sure that you are eating properly in the next year. So you tend to have fads on foods, the trees are telling me. You know, and it might be sugar or coffee, but next week it's quinoa seeds or you know, different things that you get into. It tends to be a little bit faddy. And what they're saying is you need to have a nice balanced diet, some really good food in this coming year, cut back on the red meat, cut back on the refined sugars, and really look at what you're eating. Also exercise, you don't need to go overboard on exercise, but just think about how you're using your body and utilising movement and caring for yourself. And in terms of emotional health, you know, I've already talked a fair bit about that, but really making sure that you love yourself this coming year. So having those timeouts whenever you need them, even if that means going and sitting in the park under a tree for 10 minutes, if that's what you need, then you go and do it. So it's very much about that in this coming year. Now, my least favourite stave, one that I don't particularly like very much, and it sits in the position that that also looks a little bit at your future, and it's about uncertainty. It's about grief. It's about tears. And again, you said in your email to me, I'm quite happy, but I don't feel pretty, and I don't feel confident, and all of that kind of stuff. This is what this one is talking about as well. And it says that if you don't address that in this coming year, that's just going to grow and grow and grow. So what do we have here? You asked me specifically that you felt lost, that you felt there was no direction. This year, your direction has to be about the development of self. It has to be about creating a love affair with you. Okay, you are creating a love affair with yourself. That is your goal for the year ahead. Your goal for the year ahead is not about making money or getting a bigger career or starting a new form of study or whatever. You're going to do all of that anyway. Your study is going to develop over the next 18 months. So will your career options. All of that's all going to continue to grow nicely. But your underlying target, your underlying goal, your underlying purpose in this coming year is to create a love affair with you. So I want you to go to the library. I want you to read books. I want you to look on the internet. I want you to find ways, all of the different ways that are available, whereby you can begin to learn how to appreciate self. And you'll find a whole pile of hokum bokum out there and a whole pile of rubbish and crap. But you will find a series of little things that you can put together that will enable you to begin to have that love affair with yourself. Part of that is those 2 lists that I really want you to write to begin with. The trees are also saying to me it's important that you find a social outlet, a craft outlet, a hobby, a way that you can manifest what you have inside. So that might be making things or painting things or writing or speaking. It may be that you need to write a book about how you coped with your previous partner's suicide. How did that impact on you? How did that make you feel? How did that change your life? And what did you do about that? Do you realise that that is a motivational book for other people? Do you realise how amazing you are that you actually got through that process to where you are now? And how many people would fall over backwards to learn, how did you do that? How did you feel when you were at the bottom of the well, when life just wasn't worth living anymore? How did that feel? Talk about that darkness. Perhaps write that all down. And it may be that a book or podcasts are a wonderful way that you can manifest the inner beauty that you have and give it to other people. But they're really saying here, if that's not your thing, certainly what is your thing in this coming year is building that relationship with self and having a love affair with yourself, but also finding a hobby or a craft to express who you are, and that you can do that without judgment. You can't do that without judgment in a job. No matter what the job is, you're being marked, if you like, by other people. You're being scored by other people. You're being judged by other people, usually by your supervisors. But in a hobby, you know, be that building trains, be that gardening, be that, you know, whatever it might be, you can just do it for the love of doing it, and it becomes an expression of who you are. Nobody needs to ever see it or read it or watch it or play with it or whatever it is that you do, but it is a way for you to create something that expresses your inner soul. So I really encourage you to do that this year as well. Now I want to talk about your Druid animal oracle card, which is Fox, and I've got to say he's one of my favourites. I really love Fox. Fox or Shaniach. And he's really graceful, and he's really, really resourceful as well. Fox knows his own strength, and you're becoming comfortable with your own strength, but there are still big holes in that for you. Fox doesn't shout this to the world, and you tend to be, you know, it's typical of an oak person as well. You tend to be someone that gives to other people, but you do so quietly. You just get on with it, you know, there's no huge fanfare. So in other words, like Fox, you're a bit of a quiet achiever. So Fox knows when to stay silent, but what you need to learn now from Fox is how to claim your reward. And, you know, that's all about Muin and Vine as well. It's about saying, actually, I am pretty resourceful. I'm going to start using those resources for my own ends now, not just for other people. Fox can be, sometimes Fox may not be diplomatic. You, on occasions in this coming year, as you start having a love affair with yourself, and you deserve that and you need that and it's important for you, it's also important for you to think about diplomacy and tact. And in the face of honesty, you know, being honest with other people, but doing so with tact and diplomacy, it's really important with Fox. Fox is also about balance as well. So you've got an awful lot of trees and messages in here about balance of self. So not always giving to other people, but giving to yourself as well. And finally, I wanted to talk also about your birth tree, which I think I've mentioned to you once before, but I'm going to talk about that to you again. And it is Vine. So again, it's about reaping what you sow. Vine people tend to be quite lucky, and they have massive downs in their life. You know, when things fall in the crapper, they certainly fall in the crapper. But and you've had some really serious downs. But Vine people tend to be quite lucky on the whole, and things do come back. Other people can see Vine people as being a little bit detached, you know, sometimes a little bit offhand or distant is probably a better term, maybe even abrupt. And remember, with Fox, we talked about the importance of being tactful in this coming year. Vine people, because they're so passionate about what they do and often so blinkered in terms of goals, they sometimes don't see that their words can be quite stinging to other people. So that's something really important to look at this year. But the reverse of that, or the flip side of that, if you like, is that Vine people can be really quite sensitive as well, and they hurt quite deeply. When they hurt, they really, really, really hurt. You know, so it's absolute down in the pits of despair when they're hurt. And Vine people love creativity, and they love beauty in art and that kind of stuff. So what we've got here for you then is very much a year ahead, where I want you to balance yourself and think about what you are giving to yourself as well as to other people. Know that your job and your studies and all of that, they're all just going to carry on as they have been, and you're going to be, you know, moderately successful with all of that over the next year. There's no big drama there at all. Sorry, excuse me, still just about to sneeze again. But this year is the year for concentrating on you.